When you turn this video off, please tell me what the reason was so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn gastroenterology today, the digestive system, and after we've done that, we're gonna do martial arts basic training. And if you participate in the martial arts basic training, then is that at your own risk. But first, how food is digested. This is, I think, the fourth part to the digestive system. It's gastroenterology. But now we're having this here, and we're trying to go through it. Within a few minutes of being swallowed, so we're going to talk about internal anatomy and also the intestine and also about defecation a bit. Within a few minutes of being swallowed, some of the food has been propelled into the first part of the intestine, which is called the duodenum, and the stomach is normally empty within 2 or 3 hours of a meal. So we're saying here, the food is obviously not digested in the stomach. Otherwise, why is it already a few minutes after having eaten it in the intestine? It goes through the esophagus down into the stomach directly, from the stomach and into the intestine. It is there already after a few minutes, so it's not digested in the stomach. There's juices added and so on, it's an important part. But the digestion is not happening in the stomach. It's happening in the intestine. And in this intestine, there are these villi and all these things. And there the things are coming out of the food. There the lacteal things, they're taking the fat deposits and these really, they're taking the amino acids, sugar, minerals and vitamins out of the food in the intestine, not in the stomach. And the stomach is empty after just 2 or 3 hours. But the food is not processed in the stomach, but in the intestine. So a person can completely eat again, but actually they are still completely digesting. They are just able to do it again, but they are completely digesting actually. The average time taken for digestion to be completed in the small intestine is approximately 12 hours. So that means technically they could eat 4 whole meals, but their whole body was completely digesting and completely busy with eating still, technically. Food is prepared, again, this is no medical advice or something, I'm just trying to understand it here. And I think that is something very important to know it. The books from the 70s, maybe most not. Food is propelled through the intestine by a regular series of muscular contractions or peristaltic wave, which squeeze the intestine contents like toothpaste in a tube, so it's going just forward with a peristaltic movement. One part contracts and the other part relaxes, and that way it's pushed forward. How food is swallowed. Swallowing begins as a voluntary action, but at the back of the mouth, reflex action takes over. A small food ball, the bolus called, is pressed against the palate. Throat muscles hold the hyoid point steady, and the epiglottis closes over the larynx entrance to stop food entering the lungs. Food is forced through the pharynx into the esophagus and then into the stomach. So the food is pressed against the top of the mouth, something like that, and that causes a reflex, and through that the epiglottis closing off, that now food comes into the respiratory tract, into the airways, to the larynx, and it goes through the esophagus and down into the stomach. In the gallbladder, a pear-shaped, I don't know what a pear is, I think I know what it is. Is it the other fluid next to another? A pear-shaped sac about 10 centimeters long, situated under the liver, it stores and concentrates bile secretes by the liver. Bile secreted by the liver. After a meal, the bile is released into the duodenum to help with digestion of fats. So the bile is the gallbladder is just sitting there peacefully, and it had gotten bile from the liver previously. And if someone eats, the bile is adding the gall is adding its bile to the meal. Into the duodenum, so into the beginning of the intestine, after the stomach. The small intestine, a coiled muscular tube about 7 meters long, made up of a jejunum and ileum. Here digestion is continued and the resulting products are absorbed into bloodstream. Now it seems as if there were no splitting the duodenum and then the small intestine. I think the duodenum is part of the small intestine, but whatever you take it, it is the stomach, then the duodenum, and then obviously the jejunum and the ileum. And the things the duodenum is the small intestine. I think the duodenum is part of the small intestine. I don't know what it is, so maybe it's not, I don't know. But it's the part where in the middle between stomach and what is now the 7 meter long intestine, doesn't really matter. Colon, long, 1.5 meter long tube where water is absorbed to leave solid feces, consisting of indigested food remains, cells shed from intestinal lining, bile salts and acids from liver. No, I don't think I wanted to talk too much now about it. Okay, and when it comes into the colon, and that is 1.5 meters long, and there is now the water absorbed, and out goes the indigested food remains, cells of the intestinal lining, and also acids from liver. That means the feces are very aciduous, must be. Salivary glands located in cheeks, under tongue and lower jaw. These produce saliva, a digestive juice which helps to lubricate food and break it down to simple sugars. Okay, under the tongue and the lower jaw, there are the salivary glands, and they are producing saliva, and that is a digestive juice. It helps to bring the food down and also to break it down into simple sugars. Esophagus, a muscular tube. It's a muscular tube. I never really thought about these words. It's a muscular tube. The thing is a muscle, basically, or with a lot of muscles. A muscular tube which carries food from throat to stomach. It is closed at each end by a sphincter or ring of muscle. At the top end, at the lower end, there's a ring of muscle that closes so that the food doesn't come out of the stomach into the esophagus. And if it is, that is when the acid regurgitation of the person feels the acid behind the breastbone, and I have now a little problem. Stomach, a storage place in which food is churned, and where I don't know what churned means, and where the digestive process is continued by the mixture of acid and peptic enzymes secreted by glands in the stomach lining. So what is happening in the stomach? It is a storage place in which food is churned, if I would know what it means, and where the digestive process is continued by the mixture of acid and peptic enzymes secreted by glands in the stomach lining, but not really digestion, so in the sense of taking the food into the human body. There are more secretions added, more acids and more peptic enzymes added, but it's not really the process happening. Stomach acid also destroys any bacteria that may have been swallowed with food. In an ideal case, and actually not all bacteria, the different kinds of bacteria, they are said these acids, they are destroying bacteria which may have been eaten with them, some at least. Liver. The products of digestion, including fats, are absorbed into the bloodstream. So, yes, without the fats are coming into the electoral things and they're going somewhere else. But all the other things are going into the capillaries of the blood system inside of the small intestine. Now, in the products of digestion, a part of these fats, which go from the electoral in the intestine, are absorbed into the bloodstream and carried along the portal vein to the liver. Where's the portal vein? There they are stored or used in the synthesis of chemical needed by the body. So the liver has an important part. The liver is important. I know that the liver is important, but I never really thought about what the liver is actually doing. The liver is doing at least important things. It is getting the things which were gotten from the food, not the fats, but the rest. And they are then stored, and they are then now used for synthesis of chemicals needed in the body. And some chemicals are these bile salts they're created, and they're going to the gall, and the gall is giving them back to make it a whole circle. Liver, duodenum. The first 30 centimeters of the small, so it's part of the small intestine. The first centimeters of the small intestine, where the mixture of food and enzymes from the stomach is added to be digestive juices, but where the mixture of food and enzymes from the stomach is added to by digestive juices from pancreas, gallbladder, and glands in the intestinal walls. Okay, and that part, there's the big pack up before the long journey, basically. They were already packing in the stomach, they were starting, but now there's the final checkpoint in the duodenum. They're getting their papers, what we need, the necessary things. We're getting from the pancreas and the juices from the pancreas and from the gallbladder and from the glands. We're getting the things that you need on the travel. And in the pancreas, where's the pancreas? This produces pancreatic juices which flows into the duodenum to help digest proteins, fats and carbohydrates. Pancreatic juice is produced continuously, but the flow is increased by the influence of hormones released when food enters the duodenum. Okay, the pancreas just also doing a few different things which are just possible. That was the gastroenterology part. We're gonna come back to something of that, and we're gonna do some presentation about it. I don't know. I want to have at least as a little souvenir the thing we were talking about with sugar, just how much sugar was eaten in 1910 and how much 1970. But I think we're going to do a bigger presentation actually about the whole thing, and I think also about that, and maybe something more. So we're going to come back to that in the next part of gastroenterology. If you were here for gastroenterology, you can go directly to the next part of gastroenterology. If you stay here and participate in the martial arts basics training, that is very different. We are putting in one leg up. And the other leg. And now, take the leg at the ankle, make a straight leg and point with the knee down to the ground. And the other leg. Make a straight back and point with the knee down to the ground. And the next exercise, we're bringing my leg to the side and we're stretching the inner side of the leg. So toes pointing in front and we're stretching the inner side of the leg. And on the other side. And I'll go from side to side. And back into it. And now a few lunges. We're going in front with one leg. And two more. And one more. We started with the right leg. And now, stand good and one leg up and back. 1, 2, 3 steps up, knee up, 3 steps up and back. 1, 2, 3, up, back. 1, 2, 3. And the last one to the other side. And now stretch kicks. One arm out, kick against it. 3 steps, arm out, kick against it. 1, 2, 3, arm out, kick against it. 1, 2, 3. Arm out, kick against it. And now, next exercise. Leg back, and again in knee up and back, up and in. Up and back, up and in. Up, back, and up and in. Now Koreshkin kicks up and back, and in. Up and back, up and in. And now, lunge kicks. So a lunge in front, I'm going to kick now close to the camera, and then kick in front, and again back. Right leg in front, and kick. And back. Left leg in front, and kick. And up leg. Right leg in front, down, and kick. And now squat kicks. So make a squat down, and kick to the side. And down, and kick. Down, and kick. You can do also a wider squat. Kick and down, kick. One more. And now squats, crashing kicks. So squat down, over, squat down, back, over, squat down, over, squat down, over. 2 more. And now 12 push-ups. Hands underneath the shoulders. Straight back and go down the elbows close to the middle of the cage. The first one, and the second one, and the third one, and number 4, and 5, and now number 6, and 7, and let's do number 8, and 9, and 10, and the last 2, 11, and 12. Up again, the high-cast hilltop stretch. Heel to the ground and pull the toes in. Foot to the left and pull the toes in. To the right and pull the toes in. Into the middle and move the leg from left to right. Other side. Heel to the ground and pull the toes in. To the right and pull the toes in. Left and pull the toes in. Middle and move the leg from left to right. And now legs wide apart, breathing out. And breathing out. In and close the legs. And breathing out. That was the martial arts basics training. Thank you very much and at least.